Kawasaki just announced their return to two-strokes, and it's not the bike anyone expected. Here is the KX327, all-new fuel-injected two-strokes with aluminum perimeter frames and premium suspension components. This is Kawasaki's first newly designed two-stroke engine over 250 in more than 20 years. Do not think it's arriving as a nostalgia play. It's arriving as a product Kawasaki can defend technically, commercially, and in regulated markets. Let's try to understand it. Why the Japanese walked away and why Yamaha stayed. In the late 90s and early 2000s, the AMA mandated that 254 strokes could race against 125's two strokes and 454 strokes against 250 smokers. The displacement equivalency was more about politics and industry momentum. Four strokes were cleaner on paper, easier to tune for street-legal crossover, and the major Japanese manufacturers had enormous R&D capital already rolling in that direction. Honda, Kawasaki, and Suzuki walked away from competitive two-stroke development almost entirely. Yamaha didn't. While Honda shelved their two-stroke MX program and Kawasaki let the KX250 die, Yamaha kept the YZ125 and YZ250 in production year after year. The YZ250 kept the same engine architecture it's had since 2006, receiving chassis and suspension updates, but staying carbureted, kickstart only. The YZ125 continued receiving incremental updates. For 2026, it even got an improved carburetor. Yamaha didn't modernize the platform, but they kept the flame alive when everyone else let it go cold. They deserve credit for that. KTM held the two-stroke line completely because they're European, privateer-focused, and never bought the four-stroke or nothing gospel. Then emissions tightened across Europe and California. KTM responded by launching what they called the world's first serial production, fuel-injected, two-stroke off-road motorcycles with their EXCTPI range for 2018, using a patented transfer port injection system with two injectors firing directly into the cylinder's transfer ports. Kawasaki watched KTM prove the concept, let them absorb the early adoption friction, then came in with a clean sheet design years later. Now let's try to understand why 327 cubic centimeters and not 250 or even 300. This is the question that matters most, and Kawasaki's answer is an engineering argument, not a marketing one. A 252-stroke at peak tune is a violent, narrow power band animal. It wants to rev, it wants to be ridden aggressively, and it punishes mistakes with a snap that'll send you into a whiskey throttle situation or over the bars faster than a 454-stroke will. That's great for an A-class racer who grew up on a 125 and knows how to stay in the pipe. It's not great for the broader market Kawasaki needs to justify the engineering investment. A 302-stroke, the displacement KTM and Husky use in their off-road range, is better. More bottom-end torque, wider power, more forgiving. But Kawasaki engineered the 327 to combine the lightweight simplicity of a traditional two-stroke with the advantages of modern technology, targeting a flat torque curve with exceptional controllability, especially in the ultra-low to mid-RPM range, allowing riders to navigate technical terrain without constantly worrying about engine speed. The 327 displacement also gives Kawasaki a clear product differentiation from KTM's 300. You're not racing against a near-identical product. Full specifications including bore and stroke haven't been released yet. What Kawasaki has confirmed is the power character and the architecture that produces it, the injection system, how it actually works. This is where Kawasaki's approach differs from KTM's TPI. KTM injects fuel directly into the transfer ports of the cylinder. Kawasaki went a different route. A 39mm throttle body is fed by dual injectors, one upstream, one downstream. At low RPM, only the downstream injector operates, enabling precise fueling for low-speed control and ground-gripping traction even when the throttle is barely open. The upstream injector joins in at higher RPM, enabling powerful acceleration and high revving character reminiscent of a classic two-stroke. The practical result is a two-stage fueling strategy that mirrors how the engine actually needs fuel at different points in the power band. At low throttle openings in tight wood sections, only one injector is working. Fine, precise, controllable. As you open it up and the RPM climbs, the second injector comes online and the engine responds the way a two-stroke should, with urgency. A carbureted two-stroke is constantly fighting atmospheric conditions. Temperature drops overnight. You're lean. You go from sea level to altitude at a mountain enduro, lean again. Every serious two-stroke rider knows this fight. The automatic FI compensation eliminates the need for jetting adjustments to suit changes in altitude or weather conditions. That's not a minor convenience. For enduro and cross-country riders especially, it changes your relationship with the bike fundamentally. The engine does not have an oil injection system and instead relies on old-school premix lubrication. The fuel/oil ratio is rated at 32:1, so you still mix, but you do it once at the gas station, not with a jetting kit and a notepad at the trailhead. You also get a counterbalanced engine which addresses the vibration criticism that's historically followed big-bore two-strokes. The exhaust valve, electronic, not mechanical. Kawasaki developed a new exhaust valve system specifically for this engine, and according to Kawasaki, the exhaust port timing dynamically adjusts according to engine speed and throttle position. This is the key to the flat torque curve. A traditional mechanical exhaust valve, like the power valves on carbureted two-strokes, opens at a fixed RPM threshold, which is where you feel that sudden surge in the power band. The electronic system on the KX327 doesn't have a fixed threshold. It reads what the engine is doing in real time and adjusts exhaust port timing continuously. That's what stretches the usable range and kills the hit. The chassis, KX450 FDNA. The KX327 and KX327X share an aluminum perimeter frame derived from the KX450F, which allowed Kawasaki to optimize center of gravity while keeping the overall claimed weight to 233.7 pounds, compared to the KX250F's claimed fully fueled weight of 240.8 pounds. That weight difference is meaningful in every direction change, every jump face, every rut you have to muscle through. Suspension is KYB throughout, a 48mm inverted fork with air oil separate system, Kashima coating, and adjustable compression and rebound damping. The rear runs Kawasaki's Unitrack linkage system with adjustable high and low speed compression, rebound, and spring preload. Brakes are Nissan with a 270mm front rotor and 240mm rear. The two variants differ in their transmissions. The KX327X gets a 6-speed gearbox with an ultra-low first gear optimized for tight technical terrain and raising the front wheel over obstacles. The KX327 motocrosser runs a close ratio 5-speed gearbox to maximize performance for motocross competition. Electric start, hydraulic clutch, power modes, app connectivity. Both models fire up via electric start and feature a hydraulic clutch, 2 engine maps, and smartphone connectivity through Rideology, the APKX2, which provides access to bike settings, riding logs, and maintenance information. 2 maps, not 3, selected via handlebar switch. The hydraulic clutch uses a coned disc spring. The benefit over a cable setup is consistent lever pull regardless of heat or cable stretch. For two-stroke riders who clutch up aggressively over square edges, slip the clutch through rock gardens, or snap out of berms, a hydraulic system that doesn't go stiff mid-race matters. Cable clutches on two-strokes are notorious for tightening up as heat soaks the perch. The Rideology app integration allows access to vehicle settings, riding logs, and maintenance reminders from a smartphone, with the bike stationary, not while you're riding. For the generation that grew up on EFI cars and adjusts everything from a phone, this is a natural workflow. For riders who've spent time with a jetting screwdriver and a parts manual, it's a completely different paradigm, and it doesn't require learning complex software. What this signals about the Japanese manufacturer. Kawasaki did not build this bike in a vacuum. They watched 15+ years of KTM two-stroke sales data. They watched the used bike market for KX500s, CR500s, and KX250s stay hot while used 4-stroke prices chased maintenance costs down. They watched enduro and off-road racing globally trend away from MX-oriented 4-strokes toward lighter, simpler machines. The conclusion: fuel-injected two-strokes are certifiable. They're sellable in regulated markets. The technology is proven, the consumer appetite is documented, and KTM already did the heavy lifting on proving the concept works at scale. Whether the KX327 reaches Europe and under what conditions is still being determined, which tells you emissions homologation in different markets is still part of the equation Kawasaki is navigating. If the KX327 sells, and early reception suggests it will, every product planning conversation at Honda, Suzuki, and even Yamaha's engineering division gets harder to avoid. Honda shelved two-stroke MX development entirely. Suzuki hasn't produced a competitive two-stroke MX bike in 2 decades. Yamaha kept the YZ125 and YZ250 alive, but never took the fuel injection step. The moment Kawasaki demonstrates a Japanese manufacturer can bring a fuel-injected two-stroke to market profitably, the carbureted holdout strategy starts to look like a delay and not a plan. The KX327 isn't Kawasaki trying to recapture 1994. It's Kawasaki filing a claim on the next era of two-stroke motocross before anyone else in Japan does, and building it strange enough and smart enough that it can't be written off as a throwback. If Kawasaki coming back to two-strokes surprised you, wait until you see what Yamaha did with their 450. They flipped the engine, literally turned it backwards in the frame, and it changed everything about how the bike handles. I broke down exactly why they did it, what it changes mechanically, and whether it actually works. That video is up right now. Links right here.